بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد إخوة الإسلام عباد الله. I want to start this clip, and this clip is meant to be encouragement by Allah's permission. But I want to start this clip with a statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala when He says, فَقُولُوا مِمَّا ذُكِرَ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ إِن كُنتُم بِآيَاتِهِ مُؤْمِنُونَ. Allah says, so eat from what Allah's name has been pronounced over, if you all, as relates to His verses or signs, are believers. In this particular statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, there is a verbal command. And in Usulul Fiqh, the principle is Al-Amr Yaqtadi Al-Wujub, that the command necessitates obligation. But we have another statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala where He says, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا مِمَّا لَمْ يُذْكَرِ اسْمُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ Al-Ayah. He states, and do not eat from what does not have Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala's name pronounced over it. So that's the first thing I want to point out, or I wanted to present, as this is a prerequisite for the validity of the slaughtering practice of an animal, meaning that the Muslim should eat an animal in which Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala's name has been mentioned over. And likewise, the second condition is that the animal should be killed or slaughtered with a sharp object that causes the blood to flow. As the Prophet ﷺ, he stated, يعني وَلْيُحِدْ أَحَدَكُمْ شَفْرَتَهُ فَلْيُرِحْ ذَبِيحَتَهُ. And before that, he stated, in the beginning of the narration, we stated, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ لَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has commanded proficiency in everything. And then prior to his statement, the portion of the statement that I quoted, he stated, فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ فَأَحْسَنُوا الذَّبْحَ. And so whenever you all slaughter, meaning an animal, then be proficient in your slaughter of that animal. So sharpen your knives. So any one of you should sharpen his knives. And then he made a statement that alludes to making the slaughtered animal comfortable, at the time that he's going to slaughter that animal. And these two conditions, as I was stating, are the conditions of the prerequisites as it relates to slaughtering an animal that will be acceptable for Muslim consumption. And this is something that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has set within the text of the Quran and the Sunnah. And these things, these prerequisites that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has set, has made firm, has established, they are having worldly impact. That's for lack of better expressions. As the meat that is slaughtered in this way is normally referred to as halal. And if you go online, go to Google or some other search engine and type in words similar to the global halal meat market and its worth, you'll probably be astonished at what you see. From my very limited research, or it's not even that wouldn't even be considered to be research. Just checking on Google, I found that globally, the halal meat market is estimated to be worth $2.2 trillion, and it's projected to reach the worth of $2.8 trillion in the coming years. All right, and by 2036, it's projected to be worth $4.4 trillion. The global halal meat market. That which Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala is commanding us to implement in order for us to eat slaughtered meat. In this modern time, it has a value attached to it. And for this reason, you find a lot of the kuffar in our society trying to find their ways of getting into that market in order to get some of that money, to obtain some of that money. When it comes to the U.S. halal food market, it's projected that between 2023 and 2028, it's expected to reach a value of 13 billion. 13 billion. The Canadian halal food market is currently worth $1 billion and is estimated to reach 1.5 billion by next year. So this is an illustration of, from a worldly perspective, how this command has had a major worldly impact. People who are into business, some people who could care less about Allah in the last day, are focused on this market because of the tremendous value and the dollar signs that are attached to it. So I'll bring this point up in accordance with the statement of the Prophet ﷺ when he states, "Ad-dal al-khair mithla fa'ilihi." The one who indicates or points to good is like he who does the good. And why do I bring this particular narration up? Why am I pointing to this fact? Because as far as I'm concerned, for Muslims that are here in the U.S., because the U.S. exports a lot of meat to Muslim countries, different companies, for Muslims that are right here in the U.S., it's incumbent upon us to start, especially those who are trying to be entrepreneurial, it's incumbent upon the brothers to really look into the halal meat industry and see where you can get in, where you fit in. To coin an expression that was used quite often on the West Coast when I was a teenager. Basically, it's incumbent upon the brothers to find their lane as it relates to this industry. Because as far as I'm concerned, we have more right to be dealing in this industry than any kafir. And it's a halal means, and there's a lot of money floating around in this particular industry. So I'm saying this as an encouragement for brothers that are trying to figure out something to do, especially if you have some investment capital and you're working a 9 to 5 for some kafir and you're tired of waking up at a certain time and helping somebody else become rich, then this industry is an industry that you might want to look into and carve out some type of lane for yourself by the permission of Allah. Right now, and there are many different ways that could possibly happen, even if you're just growing animals, because we know the halal process doesn't start at the time where an animal is being slaughtered, but even the way the animal is raised, Islam outlines how that animal should be raised. If you're raising chickens should not, it doesn't matter if the animal is slaughtered by saying Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, if the animal was eating feed from a rendering plant. Because all that is chickens eating chickens, for instance. Right? So even if it's just growing animals in a way that's Islamically compliant and then selling them to somebody else, that can possibly be done. Or a person starting a small farm, maybe of cows, slaughtering the cow and selling it locally to small Muslim businesses that deal in halal meats. And this is as it relates to if the people's investment capital is small. There are some businesses where poultry plants and meat plants hire a halal certification company to come on their plants and certify that their meat is halal by sending a halal slaughterman to those plants, and he being the one that pushes the button and says the basmala. Things of that nature can be done. You have there are many different ways. If you can get your hands on halal meat after it's already been slaughtered and packaged, you possibly could set up a small retail store and sell halal meat straight from your retail store. You know, there are various different things that a person and lanes that a person can choose to make sure that he's putting his hands in this pot, yani of, like I said, here in the U.S., between 2023 and 2028 is expected to reach $13 billion. $13 billion. My main point is that this industry is an industry that the Muslims should not ignore, especially those that are into entrepreneurship. It should not be an industry that should be ignored. If you have some investment capital and you're looking and you're trying to figure out what business you can start, then you might want to start looking in this industry to see where you can get in, where you fit in by the permission of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And so this is what I wanted to bring attention to. I'm going to keep this short and brief. Hopefully I'll hear in the future about multitudes of brothers getting into the halal business on account of being encouraged by this particular video that I'm recording currently. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best. And with that, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.